What's up, everyone? So let's talk about a serious issue. A recent study found that millennials are more stressed about money than any other generation. They also have more financial regrets, and over half of them have literally been brought to tears by the stress of buying a home. That's why I think it's so incredibly important that we discuss the worst money mistakes you need to avoid at all costs, especially if you're under 30. Because honestly, when I hear that most young people believe they'll never have enough money to achieve their dreams, that feels like a tragedy. It's a signal that we need to plan right now. We have to steer clear of the biggest money traps out there. One of those traps? Not subscribing or hitting that like button. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but it really does help the channel out tremendously, so thank you for doing that. As a thank you, here's a picture of what was voted the world's cutest animal. All right, let's get into it. First up, I was floored to find out that millennials were behind almost all the growth in the luxury market last year. And with that, I see way too many people spending too much and living a life that isn't theirs. It's a fact that one of the biggest spending areas for people under 35 is convenience. We're talking online shopping, delivery services, Uber, and the #1 budget killer, food. On top of that, 75% of millennials admit to competing with their friends over things like clothes, cars, and phones. At the end of the day, all that keeping up with the Joneses just means wasted money. Look, I've seen this happen over and over again. It's so dangerously easy to fall into a lifestyle you can't really afford. Maybe you just finished school, you landed your first real job, and you finally have a little money. You think to yourself, I'm young, I have my whole life ahead of me, I should enjoy it now. And that's when the weekend trips start. The expensive nights out, the nicer clothes, the faster car, all these things you don't really need. But they slowly and silently eat away at the financial safety net you could have been building. A safety net that could have set you up for the rest of your life. This also ties into something called the Diderot effect. It's this crazy idea that when you buy one nice thing, it makes everything else you own look cheap and shabby in comparison. So you feel this urgent compulsion to upgrade everything else just to match, and you end up spending way more than you ever planned. The other danger here is that spending too much forces you into a cage. It makes you dependent on your job even if you hate it. Ideally, your 20s should be a time of freedom, a time where you can take risks, try new things, and move around to gain experience. Spending too much takes away that freedom. So please don't do that. Second, let's talk about one of the worst financial traps you can fall into. With weight, student loan debt. The average student loan balance for recent graduates was over $37,000, while the average starting salary was only about $55,000. That math just doesn't make sense. By taking on debt, you're starting your career in the negative. Instead of investing your money right away, your first priority becomes paying down that soul-crushing debt as fast as you can. Sobering, what most people don't realize is that the time and money it takes to pay off loans can set you back decades in building wealth. So before you sign on that dotted line, you have to ask yourself, 1, what do I want to do with my life, and does it absolutely require a degree? And 2, if it does, is it worth going into debt for? Surprised, you might be shocked to hear that many employers are now valuing real-world experience more than a piece of paper. Excited, like sharing a secret. Third, it's a huge mistake not to realize this life-changing secret. Almost everything is negotiable. Humorous, I say almost because you probably won't have much luck negotiating your burger price at Wendy's, but outside of that, you should go into every situation with the mindset that prices aren't set in stone. Your salary, your vacation time, your benefits, all up for discussion. The car you drive, the apartment you rent, the furniture you buy, all negotiable. Inspiring, the simple fact is that you don't get what you don't ask for. A polite, friendly, and confident request can go an incredibly long way. Trust me, learning to negotiate is one of the most important, empowering skills that you will ever have in your life. Shifting to a serious, personal tone. Fourth, let's talk about something most people don't even realize they should be doing: building your credit score. Your credit history in your late teens and early 20s will either be your best friend or your worst enemy later on. I learned this the hard way. I grew up thinking credit cards were evil. I paid for everything with cash thinking I was being responsible. I didn't realize how backward that was until every single bank rejected me for a mortgage on my first property. Why? Because I had zero credit history. That painful experience taught me that your credit score matters a lot. So here's what you do. Open a free credit card with no annual fee. Treat it like a debit card. If you can't afford it with cash, you can't afford it, period. Put your normal everyday expenses on the card, and this is the most important part, pay the entire balance off in full every month before it's due. That's it. That's the secret. I'm sitting here on a Monday night at 9 p.m. just trying to get this point across to you. Please, if you haven't done this already, start now. It will change your life. Frustrated at the stats, fifth, one of the biggest and frankly laziest mistakes people make is not tracking their finances. It's so bad that nearly half of millennials have no idea how much money is in their bank account. That has to stop today. Sign up for a free budgeting app, review your spending for the last 2 months. I confidently guarantee you will find subscriptions and expenses you totally forgot about. Separate your spending into must-haves and nice-to-haves. Be ruthless, start cutting back on the nice-to-haves, and negotiate lower prices on your must-haves. Plus, if you're single, studies show that most women find irresponsible spending to be a major turnoff. So get it together. Hopeful but urgent. And finally, number 6, with so many people worried that they'll need a miracle to retire, you have to start contributing to your retirement accounts as soon as you possibly can. Your biggest advantage in your 20s isn't your energy, it's time. Time for compound interest, where the money you make literally starts making you more money to work its magic. Mind blown. Consider this. Invest $100 a month starting at age 20, and by 65, you could have over $500,000. But wait until you're 25 and you'll have $167,000 less. That's the price of waiting 5 years. The money you save in your 20s is the most powerful money of your life because it has decades to grow. I see your 20s as a time where you can leverage everything to your advantage. It might not seem like much now, but years from now, when you're ready to retire, you'll be thanking yourself for listening.